Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and I didn't like it. Now I was actually pretty curious about this one. I quite liked Ghostbusters Afterlife. It wasn't amazing by any means, certainly not as good as the original Ghostbusters, but it was a sweet, charming little family film that did what it needed to bring back Ghostbusters for the modern day, and I was curious to see how they would follow that up with this sequel. It looked like they were gonna continue going into this new direction with all these various different ghosts, and the concept and premise of it seemed to be very intriguing to me, and I was definitely curious about checking out another adventure with the Ghostbusters. But unfortunately, it seemed like once again that magic that was in the first Ghostbusters was lightning in a bottle, as they failed to really capture that again. This movie wasn't very good, unfortunately. Starting with my positives, I really liked the additions to the world building and the science of Ghostbusters here. I like that we got to see a bit more of the different various types of ghosts in this movie. They all looked very creative and cool looking, how they all operated differently. It was all very creative and imaginative. I love the expansion of the world with like how Ernie Hudson has this like science lab where they test out the ghosts, and also learning about the science aspect. Like I said, they explore new themes and ideas with the ghosts and also the new technology, and I thought that stuff was pretty interesting to learn about and creative as they were able to expand on the Ghostbusters quote-unquote lore very well, in my opinion. I also liked the premise and the new concepts and ideas they explored here. Honestly, the plot and premise of this movie just feels like an episode of the real Ghostbusters just turned into a movie, and I honestly love the fact that the filmmakers just went for that, and when it leans into that, I think the movie can be pretty entertaining at times, to say the least. And there are some really funny moments scattered here and there, mostly with Kumail Nanjiani and his character. He had some of the funniest lines and scenes throughout the movie that gave me a good chuckle here and there. But now on to my negatives with this film. First off, the story here is just a convoluted, jumbled mess. There is just way too much going on here. Too many plot lines, too many characters, so much so that the actual frozen empire that the film is selling itself on doesn't even really take place or come into fruition until like the last third of the movie. And yes, that stuff can be fun and entertaining, but in my opinion, it's a little too late for me. You can honestly take out half of the cast in this movie and nothing would change, as once again, there's just way too much stuff going on here. The other characters aren't really given much to do except, shoot the proton packs and take down some ghosts, And because there's so much going on and there's so many plot lines and other subplots going on, it makes the film feel unfocused and all over the place. I don't really know who's the main central character of the film. I guess you could say it's McKenna Grace, but then the film will go on to focus on everyone else and what they're going on, and you're like, okay, so who is the center focus of this movie? Who are we basing the entire film on here? And I really think they needed to like shorten the amount of plot lines, focus on maybe a couple here and there. Obviously the Frozen Empire should be the main one, but maybe like an additional 2 would suffice. But there's like 7 other things going on, and you got all these other characters, and it just makes the film really feel rather unfocused. And again, I wouldn't be as mad about this. Well, I would still be mad about this, but I would probably be less upset over this if like those plot lines were interesting and I was engaged, but I wasn't. I found a lot of this to be very basic, formulaic, by the numbers plot lines. The kid doesn't feel like they're being as respected as everyone else, and they're not getting to able to do everything because they're a child. And you got all this other stuff, the stepdad subplot, there's the subplot with Kumail Nanjiani, and then there's the Frozen Empire subplot and all this and that. You got even a subplot involving Slimer here that just doesn't feel necessary at all. There is also a heavy reliance on nostalgia bait and callbacks, and look, I can excuse it for the last one. It was trying something new. It was trying to capture that lightning in the bottle, was trying to bring back the franchise into a new light. But but for this one, it really just felt forced, and shoehorn in here because, hey, it's Ghostbusters. You love Ghostbusters. We're gonna throw in all these cameos and callbacks to the other movies. So you want that? And you're like, no, this is a new Ghostbusters. I want to see something new. I'm interested in the new stuff, but instead you're focusing more on the old stuff, all the references and callbacks to the original, and that's taking away from the new stuff I'm actually interested and invested in watching here. And I just feel that the film also lacked the heart and the sweetness of the predecessor, because you could tell, like, with the predecessor, they wanted to make something sweet and earnest, give it the proper send-off, and just make a sweet new return for the franchise. Here, this just felt like, yeah, the last one made a good amount of money and the studio is desperate for a franchise. We gotta do another one, pretty much. And that's how it just came across. That's why there's all this subplots. That's why there's so much going on, because we need to make this bigger and better than the last one. The studio really wants something, another one of these movies, because the last one made a lot of money. So, and yeah, because of that, the passion and the heart of the predecessor feels lost. It doesn't feel like it's there. It's lacking that heart that Afterlife did. So yeah, overall, I didn't really care for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Outside of the couple things I liked that I mentioned earlier, I found this to be a pretty lackluster sequel. There's just way too many plot lines, way too many characters. The heart and sweetness of the predecessor wasn't there, and way too much reliance on callbacks to the original. I guess if you're a Ghostbusters fan, and I mean a big diehard Ghostbusters fan, maybe go check this out at least once just to fill that cavity in your heart, but otherwise I don't really recommend checking this out. Stick with the original Ghostbusters, as it will always remain the best one out of all of these. Or if you want a new solid version of this, just stick with Ghostbusters Afterlife. There really isn't any reason to go check this movie out, really. I was not very interested in watching this. This was not very good, unfortunately. I don't recommend this. And those were my thoughts on Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. What did you all think of it? If you've seen it, did you like it? Did you hate it? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links at the end of the video. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.
If there's something strange in your neighborhood,